Hello, and welcome to World History. Hello, and welcome to History 1512, World Civilization since 1500. My name is Dr. Jacob Ari Lebenz, and I'll be your instructor for the semester. What is world history, and why do we study it? The modern discipline of history, what you learned in high school and much of what you'll learn here in college, developed alongside the emergence of nationalism in the 18th and 19th centuries, the late 1700s and all through the 1800s. Slowly, people started to think of themselves as members of national communities. That's how we suddenly had French people and German people and English people. Well, if these people existed and were supposed to have existed for a long time, well, then they needed a history. Thus, a profession was born, which broke from the tradition of writing chronicles for kings and bishops, for example, and it drew upon some exceptional examples and traditions from earlier centuries. Now, you're probably used to thinking about history on national or even regional terms. We teach a course in Ohio history here at YSU, and that has much value. I, for example, write often about the history of a country that no longer exists, Czechoslovakia. World history challenges and complements the study of national histories. It allows us to draw back our focus and think about change on a much larger scale. Where do these national histories fit within much broader processes of transformation, and how are they linked to one another? World history brings into discussion as equally valid the experiences and the perspectives of a far wider range of historical actors at once. We will look, for instance, at the Atlantic slave trade as a system which transformed the world. We will look, for instance, at Atlantic trade, at a system which transformed the world, viewing it from the perspective of indigenous Americans, enslaved Africans, free Africans, and Europeans. We'll even note how it changed lives in Asia and thus related to transformations thousands of miles away. Our job will be to make sense of these voices, to find patterns and relationships, to trace continuities and disjunctions in history. We'll think about how power works in the world, how cultures spread, how they're adopted, adapted, and resisted, how they change, and much more. Now, if you're interested, I posted a video to Blackboard which tells the fascinating origins of world history as a discipline or field of study. Among scholars, it emerged out of a need to serve public school educators charged by their towns and states with teaching history from multicultural perspectives, suitable to the plurality of history. World history thus calls into question our ability to tell a single narrative or story about just about anything. And so it seeks out roots around the world. Well, how will this course work? This course is divided into 12 learning modules, which you'll find in the course content section of our course's Blackboard page. You'll complete 2 modules per week. Each module consists of readings and other media, a short essay, and a discussion board. Please try to stick to the schedule, as there are some penalties for lateness. The good news is that I've structured the course so that you can earn up to 1,100 points, and you only need 900 points to get an A. Each of the 12 modules is worth 90 points, and you'll get 20 points, or up to 20 points, for introducing yourself in the 0 module, which is due right away. Please read all of the instructions and the syllabus carefully. If you have any questions, You may post them in the discussion board in the syllabus section of our Blackboard page. That's helpful because other people might have the same question as you, and that way I can answer you all at once. Alternatively, you may email me privately, and I will get back to you as quickly as I can. But how will we study world history? Well, I've already clarified that we'll be dividing the course into 12 units, plus a 0 unit in which you can introduce yourself. But what's in the unit? For each unit, you'll read a chapter from our textbook. Sometimes assignments will come from the textbook, but mostly not. The textbook is primarily there in place of a lecture to give you background and perspective so that you can write your essays and participate in the discussion boards. The textbook is a secondary source, the product of historians writing today about the past. Each module contains a selection of primary sources as well, documents and other materials created by the historical actors whom we are studying. Historians rely on primary sources to write their accounts of history and to challenge or support the narratives we tell about the past. Primary sources are often texts. Most of the sources that I use come from government archives. But they can also be buildings, artifacts, paintings, songs, movies, just about anything, if you approach it with the right type of analysis and imagination and insight. History is about having empathy, trying to see the world from other people's perspectives. We do that by looking at the materials they produce and trying to put them into the context, into where they lived and where they were produced. Interpreting primary sources, therefore, can be tricky. We need to think about who produced them, in what context, for whom, and why. What were their expectations? What did they want? That's why we need the textbook as background. To help you think through this, I posted 2 short videos about primary and secondary sources in the course content section. In closing, let's have some fun. Summer semesters can be intense due to their compressed format. You can do this, and the grading structure gives you some leeway since you can earn more points than you need. For those of you who are less than confident in your writing ability, I have uploaded a PowerPoint with a few tips. I have uploaded a PowerPoint with a few writing tips in the course content section. If you need more help, please feel free to take advantage of my consultation hours or my office hours. These will be held virtually, of course, or to contact the Writing Center. I am eager to learn with you. If you need more help, please feel free to take advantage of my consultation hours or to contact the Writing Center. And finally, with the discussion board, you should answer substantively. Your answers translate to course points. Think critically. Don't only provide information, provide interpretation. You're writing for your classmates to read your thoughts, and then you'll respond to your classmates, right? One more note on the discussion board. Everyone is going to have to post their own original comment, and then everyone has to comment the next day on something that somebody else wrote, at least once. Try to be thoughtful. Your comments should be full of analysis, supported by examples. When you respond to people's posts, try not to say things like, when you respond to people's posts, respond thoughtfully. Certainly don't tell people that they're wrong. When you respond to people's posts, respond thoughtfully, constructively, kindly, and substantively. It's fine to disagree or to agree, but it helps if your response adds something to the conversation. That's where the grade comes from. Anyway, thank you for listening. I'm eager to learn with you. Have a great semester.